Welcome to Student Teaching Internship 101. The purpose of this very brief screencast is just to give you a basic understanding reminder of the student teaching internship expectations and how to successfully complete it, and hopefully to give you some tips to be able to complete it successfully. So welcome to the Student Teaching Internship. I know that you have gotten underway with this opportunity, and the Student Teaching Internship is designed to be the final semester of the teacher education program, where you transition from being a university student to a professional educator. The internship is very different than any other of the coursework that you've completed, and really quite different from the field work that you've completed before. Prior to this, you probably had weekly quizzes or tests, readings, and assignments. But in the student teaching internship, there's a wee bit more autonomy for the teacher candidates. There are obviously requirements and things that you need to pay attention to, but you also get to make decisions about how and when you do those things, as long as they are completed in a timely fashion. So let's talk about who the players are, who is involved in the student teaching internship. You are the teacher candidate, of course, the TC, and it is very good to familiarize yourself with these acronyms as you'll see them in the resources on the website. The teacher candidate, the internship wouldn't happen without you. You're the reason for the student teaching internship to help you become a professional educator. Your cooperating teacher and field supervisor will be working closely with you. Your cooperating teacher obviously on a day-to-day basis, but your field supervisor will facilitate conversations between the three of you, will complete observations and give you feedback, and your cooperating teacher and field supervisor will work together at the end of the internship to assign you a significant portion of your grade for the internship. You also have a clinical evaluator who you may never meet in person, but who you will communicate with online via D2L about your teacher work sample. I know that Jenny Moore in a different screencast will talk to you about the teacher work sample, but there are question and answer forums that are available for you during the entire semester for the portion of the teacher work sample. It's where you'll be submitting your rough drafts, doing peer reviews, and also your final copy of your teacher work sample. And then there are the children who you're so fortunate enough to work with every single day of your internship. And I would imagine that most of those children and young adults want to see you be successful. So the basics of the student teaching internship, typically it's 14 weeks. There are some variations for people with majors and minors. Usually you're only working with one teacher, but again, everyone's situation is very different. I just want to take a minute and show you the clinical experience requirements for practicum and student teaching. You have access to this, and I would strongly encourage you to take a look at this to make sure that you are planning the correct number of teacher work samples. If you are a social studies broad field major, for example, you automatically have 2 minors built into your program, and so you will be completing 2 teacher work samples. You can check that out on your own on our website. I also want to remind you that in the student teaching experience, we believe in the co-teaching model. We think that the co-teaching model, and the research backs us up, actually is a superior model to the old model where the cooperating teacher would simply leave you after several weeks to make it or break it on your own. We think that it's a much more effective model. This is something that we have talked about in practicum and taught you about, but if you need a reminder, please don't hesitate to check out that resource on the website. I also want to remind you that one of the basic premises behind the student teaching internship is to become a part of the school community. You're there all day, every day, living the life of a teacher. And as a result, I really want to encourage you to be involved in the school community, and the community in which you're completing your student teaching internship. This particular resource, again, which is on our website, is the Professional Educators of Montana Code of Ethics. And you can see that being a part of the community is a really important part of being an effective educator. The teacher work sample. You are responsible for completing that teacher work sample. We talked about your clinical evaluator and the role of the clinical evaluator. This resource, again, is on our website. Strongly encourage, if you've not taken the time to read that guide, that you do so as soon as possible so that you are able to educate yourself and to get a good early start. That's feedback that we get from our completers all the time, that they wish they had started earlier. The last part of the basics that I want to talk about is the Danielson Framework for Teaching. And this is a model that we moved to last semester in practicum, and this is the first semester that we'll be using it in student teaching. You're probably familiar with this if you completed your practicum last semester. If you were not, I would strongly encourage you to bookmark this page, print this page out, study it, read it. We are going to be collecting evidence of your ability to demonstrate the basic level of every component in the Danielson Framework for Teaching. How can you help yourself be successful? Well, step one, every single day of your student teaching internship, I want you to think that it is an interview for a job that you want when you're finished. That is going to help you be incredibly successful in your student teaching internship. We all know when we go to job interviews, we put our best foot forward, we get 200%, and this is what you want to do every single day of that student teaching internship. Other things that I want you to consider is to listen. This is a great opportunity for you to be aware of everything that's going on, to be able to get really incredible feedback from your cooperating teacher and your field supervisor. I want you to know that it's okay for you to fail during this experience. There are going to be days where you might find yourself in your car crying, and that's okay. I hope that there are days where you find yourself laughing joyously at an event that happened. But regardless, you're growing, you're changing, and that's really important. I always say that when you think you're done and you don't need to get any better, it's time for you to go. And I believe that to be true. Everyone has the ability to change and grow, whether that's in math or science or in their teaching practice. Every day I want you to be ready to learn. Every day, learn something new, at least one thing new. Maybe that's just seeing something at a completely new perspective. Maybe that's figuring out a new way to communicate something to a student or to try a new strategy in teaching or classroom management. But always be willing to see things from a different perspective, and never ever hesitate to ask questions. You have an opportunity to ask questions of your cooperating teacher, your field supervisor. You could say, why do you arrange your room in pods or clusters of desks? Why do you have them in straight rows? Because your teacher is going to make a lot of decisions, and if you don't take the time to ask questions, you won't know why they made the decisions they made, and that's a great opportunity for you to be able to learn. Step 3, how to be successful, use your resources. You have an amazing plethora of resources. Our website is chock full of things that can help you, but if you don't use them and take advantage of them, they can't help you. They can't offer you that support. The same thing goes for your cooperating teacher and your field supervisor. They want to help see you succeed. Your clinical evaluator via D2L, that question and answer form that's available to you about the teacher work sample is really, really important for you to use. We want you to ask questions about the teacher work sample on D2L, because when you ask those questions, other people might have them as well, and they're able to see the answers, and you're able to build that community who all of you are trying to successfully complete that teacher work sample. You might have a teacher candidate at your school who can help you. You can work on your section 1 of the teacher work sample together, find resources together, use those resources, share your experiences with them. And finally, those professional materials. There's an incredible wealth of professional materials out there. And so as tired as you are after those long days student teaching, take the time to read some materials and resources. So our goal here is for you to completely be successful in completing your student teaching internship. And really the mark of that is, are you ready to be a first year teacher? So by the end of your student teaching internship, your cooperating teacher, your field supervisor are able to look you in the eye and say, you know what? You are ready to have your first classroom. And how do we determine that? Well, evidence is going to be collected the entire student teaching internship. People are always watching you. They're always watching what you write to them, how you have conversations with them, and that evidence gets collected. Some of that evidence will be collected during your observations on the observation tool. Some of that evidence will be collected in your reflective journal, or on D2L posts, and conversations that you have with children, with cooperating teachers, with field supervisors. It's also going to be collected in your teacher work sample. We're going to look at your ability to take standards and create instructional opportunities that match your children in your class. We're going to look at, can you look at the data and see if your learning outcomes were met or not met? Be able to tell us why and what you're going to do next. Those are all really, really important practices that teachers do every day. We wish you the very best in your student teaching internship. We want you to be successful. Our office is here to help. We've hired field supervisors that are there to help support you. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with our office if you have questions, and good luck.